But fellas, let's let's get to the NFL draft. Man, I had a good day yesterday. And today, going to the bar, having me a couple of margaritas, getting me some fettuccine alfredo, with some grilled chicken on the side. By the way, champ, if you want to go to a nice spot in New Jersey for some wings and some beer, go to Bunny's and go to Papillon. So if you want to have like some good wings and some good fries, some curly fries, go to Bunny's and Papillon. But we knew that Cam Ward was going to be drafted with the number one overall pick. That's
Mhm.
obvious. But the Cleveland Browns, they had the number two overall pick. They traded it to the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is what happened. This is what the Browns received and the Jaguars received for the trade. The Browns ended up getting the Jaguars' fifth overall pick, second round pick, a fourth round pick in this year's draft, and a first round pick in next year's draft. As far as the Jags, they had the number two pick. They also had a fourth round pick and a sixth round pick. For the Jaguars with the number two pick, they went and took Travis Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winner out of Colorado. As far as for the New York Giants, they drafted Abdul Carter from Penn State. But Shador Sanders, not even drafted, not in the first round, but not even in the second round. And there's been reports about his attitude, his personality, the assistant coach. There's one saying he's, quote, so entitled. And when you look at the Giants, they traded up to get the 25th overall pick, and they went and drafted Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss just after they got Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston in free agency. As far as for my Commanders, I love the fact that we did get an offensive lineman out of Oregon. Hey, as Champ always says, quarterback can't throw it behind his back. And it's a perfect fit because, again, Oregon, the Cliff Kingsbury offense with Jaden Daniels running it, I like that part. And as far as y'all land the Falcons, y'all were able to get Jalen Walker out of Georgia. Y'all were able to do y'all thing come into the draft. So, BRF, I'm gonna let you go. What were your thoughts about the draft so far?
I'm sorry to the New York Giants and the New Orleans Saints. Y'all, I get the whole, well, Shador Sanders wasn't a good interview, he's entitled, he's cocky, and all this other stuff. Y'all ain't about to sit here and tell me with a straight face, y'all legit think Jackson Dart and Tyler Shue are better than Shador Sanders. No, you're not. You're not. You're not. And I said this in the chat. No, I am not going to repeat what I said in the chat. I am not going to repeat that. Well, the only thing I am going to say
You
is
can
them
say it.
allegations.
BRF. You can say it. I don't really care. So
Okay. So, anyways, what I said was, because this is all stemming from the fact that the New York Giants in the offseason signed Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. It's one of those situations where you're talking to somebody and you kind of looking at them with a side eye because they're a little too comfortable. They're gonna say it with an A or they're gonna say it with the ER. In the New York Giants case, yeah, because them allegations, y'all are never beating these out. Y'all are never beating the allegations. Y'all signed Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston in the offseason, and y'all are never beating the allegations. Never. No, you're not. And for the New Orleans Saints, Tyler Shue out of Louisville, y'all like him more than Shador Sanders. This has pretty much come to the point where I don't think these teams won't. They're scared Deion Sanders gonna stick his nose in their business. I think that's what it boiled down to. They don't want Deion Sanders in their business. But I just think when you look at the Cleveland Browns, don't even get me started about them because they are like
We didn't
one of
even
the
bring up the
most
Pittsburgh Steelers.
the crazy thing about the whole Shedeur Sanders situation. I have never seen a player with such a ceiling and a floor in a draft. You were either gonna, I mean, you weren't okay. You weren't gonna go to Tennessee. It was pretty much a shoe-in. They were gonna draft Cam Ward. There's the New York Giants at 3. There's the New Orleans Saints at 9. But then it's all the way down to the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21. And it's crazy. It's like if neither one of those teams draft you, you're not going in the first round. And I have never in my life seen a player be on such opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to draft positioning as Shedeur Sanders. I've never seen it in my life. And because you got these scouts, some of these scouts saying, well, he's not as good as he claims to be in these interviews and all that other stuff. Y'all drafted Johnny Manziel. Shut up. You drafted Johnny Manziel. Be quiet. Be quiet. Do not talk to me about Shedeur Sanders' attitude when you drafted Johnny Manziel, Cleveland. Johnny Manziel. What did he do for you? Absolutely nothing. You had Skip Bayless.
There were even reports in which he showed up to practice inebriated.
You had Skip Bayless on live national TV with the absolute I'm a steal a Stephen A. Smith term, with the unmitigated gall to say blasphemy, to say Johnny Manziel was going to be a bigger thing, if not bigger in Cleveland than LeBron James. I want to throw something at him through the TV for even letting that come out of his mouth, because people who watch football knew good and well Johnny Manziel's skill set did not translate in the National Football League. He's not accurate. If he's not making out of structure plays, he wasn't good from in the pocket, and it showed. And it showed really quickly. And it got him out the league in like a couple of years because he didn't care to learn. And it wasn't just the fact that he wasn't good, he didn't care to learn. So this whole thing with Shedeur Sanders is baffling. And all I got to say is this: like whoever ultimately ends up drafting him, we got tape. We've seen the film from him. We saw him for 2 years behind that putrid Colorado offensive line, put up video game like numbers with that horrible offensive line. Yeah, they did not have a greatest year in Deion's first year. They won 9 games this year with an offensive line that did not get better at all. Travis Hunter goes to New York, wins the Heisman. Shedeur Sanders was probably the first guy out as far as like Heisman candidates, because you end up with Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, Ashton Genty, and Dylan Gabriel going to New York. Shedeur Sanders, if you want to go from like an elimination standpoint, was the first guy out because of the type of season that he put up for Colorado in 2024. I mean, it's crazy the fact that now all of a sudden these teams are high and mighty about this dude's attitude when the tape clearly shows if you give him a chance, he could possibly produce at the next level. He's an accurate quarterback. He can make all the throws. He can make out of structure plays when asked. Is he the greatest athlete in the world? No, he's not the greatest athlete in the world, but he can get you first downs when he needs to get you first down. But he elevates from the neck. He plays from the neck up. He is that style of quarterback. And he showed that time and time again. He was able to make all the throws. He was able to make the throws with accuracy. So I think this is crazy from Shedeur Sanders' standpoint, the fact that he is still waiting to be drafted by somebody. If I'm the if the Cleveland Browns do not take him before this draft ends, they deserve, football-wise, that city deserves to be, and it's no disrespect to the fans, but that franchise deserves to be burnt off the face of the map if they do not take Shedeur Sanders before this draft is over. It's ridiculous. He's sitting right there for you. You know you need a quarterback. You really think you about to fool me thinking you comfortable going into the regular season with a quarterback room of Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, and Kenny Pickett? You must be out your mind. You really think fan gonna believe you comfortable going into the season with a quarterback room like that? And the thing is,
They probably
you better start.
freebasing. They probably
Good God,
freebasing
they,
as Champ would accuse people of not doing their homework or something. No, I'm sorry, Jim,
bro,
but I
they're
gotta be.
doing something.
You would have thought they
They,
would have drafted him early in the second round, and still they didn't draft him.
he was the number one overall pick of the second round was right there, and they still did not do it. It is insane to me. And the Cleveland Browns are just known for historic fumbles because let me tell you something. As a Falcons fan, we thank them for allowing us to trade up to get Julio Jones. We thank them
Yeah.
every day. We thank them. So let me get this straight. You're about to have not only Julio Jones on your resume of missed out generational talents, Travis Hunter too, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So you mean to tell me that possibly for the next 5 to 10 years, we're gonna see Travis Hunter on one side and Brian Thomas Jr. on the other side? I mean, that's come and also to the fact that Jacksonville is not drafting him to be a one. They are drafting him with the intent of him playing wide receiver and corner. They're drafting him with that intent. This ain't no one-way street. They are drafting him to play both sides of the ball. So if he continues to showcase himself as the game changer that he was in 2 years of Colorado, if he continues to display that type of talent, the Cleveland Browns might go down as the worst drafting franchise in the history of the National Football League. And let me tell you something, as a Falcons fan, with some of the bad decisions we have made in the draft, that is saying something coming from me. That
Well,
is saying something
it's
coming
nothing
from
compared
me.
to the Cleveland Browns because the Julio Jones trade, not to mention all the other bad moves that they've made in their career. And you look, I don't know what Cleveland is doing.
I don't have the
Are they are they
least I don't have the
are they hungover or are they high? Because again,
no.
how much
I think
how
no,
much more
I
body
think
of
they're
work do we
naturally
need to see?
incompetent. No, I think at this point the Cleveland Browns front office are just naturally incompetent. I think they are. They are naturally incompetent. They have shown fans no reason to have hope to go in the draft thinking they're going to make good choices. And it's not like all the choices they've made have been bad in the draft. They did draft Myles Garrett. They did draft Nick Chubb. They did draft Denzel Ward. It's not like they drafted Joe Thomas, who's one of the greatest offensive tackles of all time. It's not like they've made bad choices in the draft. It's getting either a quarterback or a generational talent correctly. They have not done it. They've either they've either pissed it down the hole, given it to somebody else, or they just had no idea what they were doing. And it's crazy because the NFL draft has been it's been really good so far. And the fact that I'm talking about the Cleveland Browns when I would much rather be talking about how scary the New York Giants defensive line is about to be with Abdul Carter and Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and Dexter Lawrence. I would much rather be talking about the New York Giants defensive line, how with Abdul Carter's size, they're going to be able to experiment and play him at his size at D tackle in certain pass rushing situations alongside Dexter Lawrence, when potentially you're going to see all four of those guys at the same time trying to get to your quarterback. I would much rather be talking about that. I would much rather be talking about the Atlanta Falcons taking Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. in the NFL draft, possibly giving us potentially the best pass rush we've had since John Abraham. I'd much rather be talking about, I mean, good gracious, like the Chicago. Much rather be talking about the Chicago Bears drafted Colston Loveland at 10, and people like, you're taking Loveland over Warren. Colston Loveland is a pretty good tight end, and they're gonna run a bunch 12 personnel with him and Cole Kmet. Oh yeah, that's right. They drafted Luther Burden today.
Yep.
They drafted Luther Burden the third today. So DJ Moore, Luther Burden. You still have DeAndre Swift in the backfield. You have Cole Kmet. You have Colston Loveland. I mean,
with the offensive
Caleb
line that they addressed in the offseason.
With that revamped offensive line that should be better on paper. Caleb Williams, but I'll say this though, Caleb Williams got no more excuses. But I would much rather be talking about that. The Cincinnati Bengals drafted defense. The Cincinnati Bengals drafted defense. They drafted Shamir Stewart from Texas A&M. I would much rather be talking about that. Heck, Carolina drafted Ted McMillan. Tampa Bay drafted Emeka Ibuka. I mean, just so many really good players that got drafted that are going into pretty decent situations. And here we are talking about the
Also,
poverty Cleveland Browns because they don't know what they're doing. I love what New England has done. They got Will Campbell. I love that pick for them. They needed to protect Drake May's blindside. I think Will Campbell can come in immediately and be their left tackle. I love that.
And they also got Henderson.
Travion Henderson. That's a sneaky pick. Because now you have him, and you still have Ramondre Stevenson in the backfield. That is a pretty potent duo in the backfield. So New England's on the come up as well. But here we are talking about the poverty Browns. It's just ugh. It's ugh. I want to throw up talking about the Cleveland Browns right now, bro. It's just.
Are they the poverty version of the Dallas Cowboys?
Ugh, Jesus. I think you're doing that. As much as I don't like Dallas Cowboys, I think you're doing Dallas Cowboys a disservice calling them the poverty Dallas Cowboys. Because even Dallas has gotten some of the. Because even Dallas, at the very least, they did get Dak Prescott right as far as a quarterback. They did get him right. Cleveland can't even get that position right. So I mean, come on.
Well, they did it to themselves. Besides, Champ mentioned it numerous times before. They wanted an adult at that position. They wanted to move on from Baker Mayfield, and they brought in Deshaun Watson. Not only that, pay him $230 million guarantee. I think the Giants actually did well, but Shedeur Sanders, all the way to the third round, and he probably may not be drafted in day 2. He may have to be drafted day 3. And I wouldn't be surprised at all, fellas, he doesn't get drafted. Because you really okay. The reports entitled, a lot of people have said that, and again, to quote Undisputed World Champ, he says it in the South. Everybody ain't lying. So if multiple people have said this before, then at some point in time it has to be the truth. But it's not. But Shedeur Sanders, it sounds like to me he committed crime. It sounds like he committed burglary or something. The way how these scouts are perceiving him.
It's like I get the interview part, but I'm still looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, he really killed himself in these interviews to the point that Jackson Dart and Tyler Shue were drafted before him.
Now Jackson Dart, we weren't surprised because of all the draft hype that Jackson Dart received. So I wasn't surprised about that. But Tyler Shaw.
And now we're supposed to think, as a Falcons fan, standing ovation. We get to kill you and Derek Carr this year. Standing ovation. Because you ain't. I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Kellen Moore, I don't know. What were you thinking? I mean, this is your team. You're the first year head coach, and you went with Tyler Shaw.
Like I said, I think it's just the whole. I think. I
Hey,
think it's
listen,
also the. I
there
think it's
should be
also the
no
Deion
excuse for
Sanders
you not
factor.
to win the division.
Did you know what we said this last year? We said this last year. Tampa Bay is still legit. Carolina's only getting better. I'm not going. I'm not doing it again this year. I'm letting it play out. I ain't doing none of that this year. I'm not giving us anything. Carolina, like I said, Carolina's going to be a lot. The Carolina's going to be a lot better. They drafted Tech McMillan, but then they also drafted Nick Scorton out of Texas A&M. Carolina's a better squad. They're on the up and up, and Tampa's Tampa. They're the two-time defending NFC South champions. We're not writing them off. What I will say about the Falcons. What I'll say about the Falcons, I think for me with the Falcons, it's Kyle Pitts. it's Kyle Pitts. It's Kyle Pitts. I feel like that offense will never fully flourish and evolve until Kyle Pitts starts playing like the number 4 overall pick of the 2021 draft. It's as simple as that. Until if he takes that step and he plays up to his draft status, the Falcons offense is going to be unstoppable. And we know what the Falcons offense can do, but getting Jalen Walker and James Pierce does really good things, because I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. In this day and age, even with the running back being back in style, with the running back feeling important again, you can never have enough pass rushers. You can't. So you're adding Jalen Walker and James Pierce to Arnold Ebiketie, who really broke out the second half of last season. Zach Harrison, who I've been a Zach Harrison fan since his Ohio State days. When I heard they drafted him in the first round, I got giddy because I just knew the type of upside he was going to bring. Signing Leonard Floyd as well, and then you're going to get Braylon Trice back. He didn't even play any of last season because he tore his ACL. You get him back next year. You still have Ruka Rohoro at the defensive tackle spot. You lose Grady Jarrett, but I feel like for the first time in a long time that Raheem Morris has no choice but to play the youth. He's got no choice but to play his young talent this year. He ain't got no excuses not to play his young talent on defense. He's got to. I think the NFC South is going to be a really, 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 really fun division this year. A really fun division this year. The first time in a long time, I'm excited about what the NFC South is going to bring to the table for the NFL this year. But I mean, the draft as a whole has just been really fun and really exciting. And it's a shame that we have to talk about Shedeur Sanders potentially not being drafted in the first 2 days, and the Cleveland Browns not knowing how to draft talent. And this is not a knock to Mason Graham. Mason Graham is a hell of a defensive tackle, and him besides Myles Garrett is gonna do big business. But at some point, you got to say the heck with this, and you got to take some risk. And Cleveland just, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say for him anymore. I just don't.
Well, the good thing with Shedeur Sanders, he's worked out with Tom Brady. So if he can get some advice on how to overcome this, look no further than talking to the GOAT. Because remember, the Brady documentary, the ESPN documentary, remember all those quarterbacks that were selected over Brady, Chad Pennington, T. Barton, I think it was Mark Bulger, champ, all these other quarterbacks. So, and Shedeur Sanders, he has worked out with Tom Brady. So he should talk to Tom Brady on how to handle this situation. But, champ, this is how your brother is reacting to Shedeur Sanders not getting drafted.
Uh-oh. Mm. Wow. Mm-hmm. Mm.
I mean, Chip,
Not the Undertaker name, bro.
They acting as if Shedeur Sanders had committed crime or something. They acted like he committed grand theft auto or something. What is going on with the draft and so more, in your opinion?
You know what? I'm gonna just be very, very honest, and I hate to be that guy. And I always talk to you about my worst fears as a journalist, to be like certain journalists. We will not say their names. But I'm have to say this. A lot of times when you know that the eyeballs on you, you have to exercise some precautions. I think that it was a mistake him not going to the combine. I think that it was a mistake him not throwing at the combine, participating. I think it was a mistake in a lot of ways on how they handled certain situations, Dion and Sador. I really think it was a mistake on a lot of things. Because for him to still not be able to go in the first, I mean, there's no way you can make me. There's no way in HE double hockey sticks that you can tell me that the quarterback from Louisville is better than Sador Sanders. There's just no way you could convince me. I mean, there's just no way. I really think a lot of things were done like they shot themselves in the foot as far as, not going to the combine, not going through the interview process the way they were supposed to do, not really just taking this process serious. But eventually, I hope that somebody takes them. I really think that this is a humbling tactic. It's like, hey, and a lot of times that's what we need. A lot of times people don't understand this. People don't understand, and I understand people want to be cocky and everybody just want to be, he has a right to be, he's good. He has a right, but you don't understand what a dose of humble pie will do for you. A dose of humble pie. What did our parents used to tell us, BIF? A butt whooping sometimes does the trick.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes a butt whooping does the trick. And sometimes humble pie does the trick. And it's just like, okay, now I'm in a position where there's nothing guaranteed to me anymore. I can't go in here with this mentality. I have to go in here and be willing to learn. I have to come in here and show up early. I have to STFU when I come to these meetings. I have to watch what I say in the press because I'm not guaranteed anything at this point. So I think that if anything comes out of this is a little bit of humble pie. And like I said, people are going to say, well, guess what? There's been a lot of guys who've been not cocky. There's been a lot of guys who've been arrogant and cocky. Yeah, they messed it up for Sador, guys like Sador Sanders. Todd Marinovich, Ryan Leaf, Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, the first go around, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Just to name a few. The thing is, whether we like it or not, the NFL, you are still an employee. You are still an employee. And they're not going to invest any money in you if you're not portraying the right image. They're not going to invest in you. And like I said, with guys like Johnny Manziel, who love their celebrity a little bit too much, Ryan Leaf, Baker Mayfield a little bit when he first came into the league, they're being a hell of a lot more cautious about that. And the reason why I bring up those four guys is because I don't want people in the comments when you clip this to take the easy way out. We all know what the easy way out is. Remember those four guys. Johnny Manziel, Ryan Leaf, Todd Marinovich, Baker Mayfield. They all had cocky attitudes. They felt like they were entitled. Hell, even Real Lavis. He dropped because of rumor had it he dropped because of that. So you got to be careful, man. There's a lot of things that hindsight is 50-50, but I hope that this does the trick, and I hope that he's able to come back from this. But like I said, there's a lot of mistakes on, outside of the play on the field. As far as play goes, I think Sador nails it right on the head. He's great. But I think doing certain draft processes, I think they should have did it right and just went through the processes. There's a lot of guys who didn't go through the process, but guess what? They were so darn good that you just knew that these guys were going to go either way. They didn't have any more to prove. And no, Shedeur Sanders on paper doesn't have any character issues, but guess what? People are watching you because of your last name. They're watching you because of your last name. And the thing is, if Shedeur was at the top of his game and he was not a quarterback, I think he goes in the first 3 rounds. I think he at least goes in the first round. If he was a cocky, like, cornerback or running back or a wide receiver, hell, even a lineman, he goes in the first round. Well, that position of quarterback, you're the spokesperson of the team. You're the person that they bring out for charity events. And so after guys like Johnny Manziel, Ron Leaf, a lot of these NFL owners are intimidated by a lot of cocky and arrogant quarterbacks because they're asking themselves, is this young man coachable?
Or quarterbacky, as Colin Cowherd prefers it.
What the...
Chip, I don't know what the fuck that means. That's just
What does that
bullshit to
mean?
me
What
when
is-
he uses the term quarterbacky. I think what he means by that is he wants his guys to be professional, buttoned up, guys who say and do all the right things. With Shedeur Sanders, I understand your point, Chant. If he conducted himself more presidential, chances are he would have been in the first round.
Yes.
A lot of people believe it has to do with his attitude, the fact that he is Prime's son, a lot of other things. But if you look at his tape, the tape don't lie.
No.
What is it about that? What is it about Shedeur Sanders that you don't like? Okay, he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world. So there are a lot of guys who don't have strong arms. Can he still throw? Can he still read defenses? Is he good enough athlete? Can he make off-platform throws? And the thing is, yes. But why is it that you didn't want to take him? Well, because of his arrogance, his cockiness, his attitude, his ego. Look, Shedeur Sanders, did I have a problem with him skipping the workout, NFL Combine workout? No, because at the time, look, a lot of people have done it before. So what's the big deal? I think had he probably handled himself better with the meetings, because that's what's also important, champ, not just with the workouts, the meetings with the teams. Had he done a better job, had we heard reports about him doing well with the meetings, I believe he probably would have had a better chance. But Tyler Shaw over him, to me, that tells me that you're just not sold on Shedeur Sanders. To me, it has to do more than football. It has to do with his attitude. Because I don't know what is it, because you can't tell me from a football standpoint Tyler Shaw is better than Shedeur Sanders. There's no way you can convince me of that.
No, but a lot of things have to do with intangibles. And kind of like I said last week when we was talking about Tim Tebow, I think it was last week and the week before.
You did. You mentioned with Tim Tebow, you said Tim Tebow is the easiest person, the guy to work with.
Yeah.
Because he will say and do all the right things. He'll put in the amount of time. He'll put in the amount of effort.
Yes.
But I also said, champ, regardless of that, I'm all about the results. I'm all about production. I brought up Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels back in the 90s, what was he?
He was,
abrasive to say the least.
He was a prick. And when I used the term prick, most of y'all thought I was being generous.
You being very generous. Like I said, we're just trying to keep it rated G. But like I said, we understand that. But the thing is, if you're going to be a prick, then your performance has to be super outstanding. Especially when you have eyeballs on you like Shedeur Sanders and with your father being Dion. People was already critical. The thing is, I have never ever seen. The thing is, I've seen quarterbacks come and I've seen quarterbacks go. I've seen them come and go. In the draft, I've seen guys fall in the draft. I've seen a little bit of everything. I have never seen the celebration of the masses of how people are celebrating this young man falling. I have never seen that before in my life. And we've seen some of the worst blankety blanks in the history of the game coming to this league. And at the quarterback position, we've seen some of the worst what's in this business come in at the quarterback position. It's like, he really did that? And it's just like, hey, but the thing is, like I said, I think Johnny Manziel ruined it for a lot of guys. I think that, Baker Mayfield the first time around ruined it for a lot of guys when he was in Cleveland, because regardless of, he's playing good now, but, you got to remember there was some rumors about him being a little bit immature and, things of that nature. But like I said, like I said about Tim Tebow, people are more than anxious to give you a chance when you are easy to work with. When it's easy, it's all good. When it's easy, it's like, okay, this young man, he's easy to work with. Let's go ahead. And that's not, like I said, don't take the easy way out with it. Just think about who you work with at your job. Even if it takes you longer to solve a question with this other guy, you're a lot less anxious to go to the main guy, because I don't feel like dealing with nobody's attitude. And that's what my thing was with Tim Tebow. People will give you a lot of chances, even though you're not that good.
But at the same,
and that's the thing I think that people are saying with Shedeur. It's like, look, we deal, and the thing is, look, as far as the Pittsburgh Steelers are concerned, and I'm watching them right now, here's what I think their greatest fear was, because I'm hoping that they draft him as I'm staring at him right now. Remember what I told you about Aaron Rodgers?
Yes, you mentioned that. And if they bring in Aaron Rodgers, all hell's going to break loose.
Yes. And the thing is this. I think that they're saying to themselves this. The last thing that I need in my locker room, I already got two highly emotional wide receivers. Highly emotional. George Pickens, DK Metcalf. I just got rid of a guy in the form of Deontay Jackson. I just got rid of him. I don't need another overly emotional guy at the quarterback position. I don't need a guy who has a chip on his shoulder. I don't need another guy who's going to potentially be a Zach Wilson. Good ability, but not necessarily media friendly. Because the thing about Zach Wilson is, remember what happened when he threw his offensive line, when he said he didn't let down his offense in that very, very close game? I think it was 10-3 or
against
12
New England, in which I remember that game, champ.
Yeah.
But go ahead, champ. I'm sorry.
It's all right. So that is what they're thinking about. Like I said, this is not just don't take the easy way out on this. We've seen so many cocky quarterbacks. They come in, they have this arrogance about them, they have this air about them, and eventually they phase out. I'll repeat it. Ryan Leaf, Johnny Manziel, Todd Marinovich, Baker Mayfield, his first go around in Cleveland. Then you had the grand poobah of them all, Zach Wilson. He had a cocky and entitled attitude. Look what happened. And I think that one of the main things that people are not going to say is this. Remember that after that game where the offensive line had a very, very bad game? Coach Prime and Shedeur Sanders kind of threw the offensive line up under the bus. They're looking at everything. They're going to look at everything, especially when you have this air about yourself. It's okay to be confident. Nobody's saying that. But if you are super, super confident to the point where it makes people uncomfortable, like those 5 guys I just named, you better have a real good damn resume in order to make up for that. That was the thing that those guys had coming into the league. Baker Mayfield, Heisman. Johnny Manziel, Heisman. Zach Wilson, 5th in Heisman voting. Ryan Leaf, Rose Bowl.
A finalist for the Heisman as well.
Exactly.
But here's my thing.
Your resume better be a mile long if you're gonna have that type of attitude.
But here's my thing, champ. We talk about Tim Tebow. At the end of the day, here's where I will look at with Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders fine. He may. I don't know. I've never met him personally, but again, Shedeur Sanders. If you're just saying that you know what he won't succeed in the NFL is because of his father, then you know what. Then as far as with scouts, then you need to not scout football. Because to me, and I can't believe I'm doing this. I really can't believe I'm. Do you know of all people that had to speak on behalf of Shedeur Sanders, President Donald Trump? Did y'all read what Donald Trump had to say about Shedeur Sanders?
Actually, I did before we came onto the air.
Yeah.
Which is he said this is what he posted. What is wrong with NFL owners? Are they stupid? Deion Sanders was a great college football player and was even greater in the NFL. He also a very good coach, streetwise and smart. Therefore, Shedeur, his quarterback son, has phenomenal genes and is all set for greatness. He should be picked immediately by a team that wants to win. Good luck, Shedeur, and say hello to your wonderful father. Of all people.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm gonna just be real. The thing is, when the spotlight is on you like that, you have to be careful. And the thing is, you have to do everything in a certain way. I'm not telling you to go out here and smooch and kiss up. But like I said, when you have eyeballs on you like that, and the thing is, you have to do everything the right way, because the thing is, going into college, when you first left Jackson State, going into Colorado, everybody wanted to see you fail. Then you have that bad season the first year. People are clapping to see you fail. Then you go out there and you perform. You go 9-3. You almost win the conference championship. You win Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. People are still saying that you're overrated. At least go through the process and give yourself the best chance to succeed. Not telling you to go out there and kiss anyone's ass. I'm telling you to go out there and do everything that you can to set yourself up for success. I'm not telling you to code switch. I'm not telling you to go out there and be, and be fake. I'm telling you to put yourself in the best position so that these teams can see that you're willing to work, that you're willing to do things. And when you go to these interviews, conduct yourself in the correct manner. Like I said, you're going to these interviews as an employee. You have to keep that in mind. You're an employee. You are about to be the face of the franchise. They just gave Ashton Jeanty $32 million as a running back. Can you imagine what Cam Ward is about to get? Let me say that again. Ashton Jeanty just got $32 million. He is the second highest paid running back in the NFL. So can you imagine the money you are costing yourself by not doing everything the correct way? You already have eyeballs on you. Ain't nothing wrong with being cocky. Ain't nothing wrong with being arrogant, but at least put yourself in the position to do everything you can the right way, because they want you to fail.
But champ, doesn't Prime deserve culpability as well as Shedeur? Not to excuse Shedeur, but Prime You are the father of Shador. You have the resources. You and your team could have done your job to prep Shador with the interviews. If anyone should understand how to do these interviews, no better than Champ. No better than Prime.
Yeah, the thing is this. Prime was that's the thing what I go back to. Prime was so damn good, he didn't have to worry about interviews. That's how good he was. So when he told the New York Giants to go jump in the lake, I'm not taking no damn test. He was able to do that because he knew he wasn't gonna fall. And lo and behold, he wasn't. He was just that darn good. Unfortunately, you are not your father. You're not so good to the point where, guess what? You could just tell them to go kiss off because you know a team like the Atlanta Falcons is going to come take you.
No, Champ, I understand that. Obviously, Shador coming out of college was nowhere near the generational talent that Prime was. I'm talking about as far as answering the questions, things of that nature.
Yes, that's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had the luxury of doing that. You got to understand, your son is not going to have the luxury of doing that. And not to mention, you have to think about this. He's a quarterback. You're the face of the franchise. You are the potential face of the league. Number one overall pick, or either in the top 5, guess what? You're the face of the league. Not to mention, you already had a contract with Nike before you even hit the floor. Everybody wearing Nikes. Not like the 80s when people was wearing Adidas. So yeah, Prime should have media trained him, and he shouldn't have came out talking about, I'm going to interfere. I will have something to say if I don't feel like he's going to be able to go somewhere. Looking back on it, guess what? A lot of people say, well, Archie did that. Yes, because Peyton was that damn good. When you're that damn good and you're that guy, you can do that. But when everybody's and Peyton Manning was a media darling. But when everybody is looking for you to fail from day one, everybody's looking for you to mess up. Everybody's looking for you to fail. You have to put yourself in the best position in the world in order to succeed. And unfortunately, I believe that this fall is happening not just because of humble pie, but because, hey, you didn't do everything that you could to put yourself in the best position that you can to succeed.
Do you believe that Shador will succeed? Do you believe that some team out there that is in need for a quarterback that will draft him, do you think that he can flourish? Because again, Champ, this is not the first time we've seen or heard quarterbacks falling in the draft.
I believe that he can. There's been a lot of notable quarterbacks that gone in the 3rd and the 4th round, even in the 5th and the 6th. But the thing is, honestly, you have to. I understand people are always going to take the easy ways out. Why can't he be cocky? Why can't he be? We understand. Everybody deserves to have their days. But the thing is this, you have to understand, when everybody's looking for you to fail, you have to conduct yourself in a certain manner. I'm not telling you to code switch, not telling you to go out there and, kiss up to anybody, but you have to put yourself in the best position. I think he can. And I think, like I said, a butt whooping and humble pie does the trick. And I think that now that he is dropping, and I think that he's falling out of the first, falling out of the second, and now that he's pretty much all the millions have gone, and now you have to work yourself back into the good graces of not only the media, but your coaches when you get there, and you have to work yourself into making the team. Because, like I said, there's nothing guaranteed anymore. I think that now, more than ever, he's going to be a lot better if he's drafted. And the thing is, there's no need to go anywhere with a chip on your shoulder. Just work your ass off. Tom Brady had a chip on his shoulder, but that was after he achieved what he needed to achieve. It was after. So I think that this can be, I truly believe this, man. This could probably be the best thing that ever happened to Shedeur Sanders. You to drop dramatically, and now you're just wanting an opportunity. rather than just saying you just want. Sometimes when you're just itching for an opportunity, it's better than saying, hey, it's a privilege for you to have me here, or an honor for you to have me here. Sometimes when you just want an opportunity, you're hungrier. You want to do things the right way. You're going to make sure you don't do anything to mess this up. And I think that this can be exactly what Shedeur needs, man. And like I said, he was already good in the first place. He's already great. You don't win Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year without being great in the first place.
I think he'll be fine.
I think he'll be fine.
I think Chip, I don't mind him having a chip on his shoulder because you may look. I don't mind it because again, that's when all those teams they're gonna regret one day and say, "This is what you passed up on. You had me. I was available, and you decided to go with all these other players instead of me. Okay, fine. I'm gonna prove you wrong." So it could be a great thing for Shedeur Sanders. It's not necessarily about when you go, it's about where you go. I hope that some team who's in need of a quarterback, heck, you've mentioned before, the Los Angeles Rams, if they're in the fourth or fifth round, you may want to take a chance on Shedeur because you don't know Matthew Stafford's going to be there that long. And to pair him up with a Sean McVay, with a Puka Nacua, and hopefully if you keep Devontae Adams for another year or so. So I think Shedeur Sanders will be fine. Look, again, I didn't have a problem with him missing the combine workout because, again, we've seen examples of other quarterbacks who've done it. Could he have done a better job as far as with the interviews, with the draft scouts, and with teams? Sure. I think that's the reason why his draft stock plummeted. Had he done well in that, I think he would probably be in the first round or early second round. But I think this is just the way of teaching him a lesson. Who the hell are you? So I think Shedeur Sanders will be fine. BRF, is there anything you want to add before we move on?
I do think he's going to recover from this because I mean, you have to look at the makeup. You have to look at the structure he has around him. I mean, we say what we want about Deion Sanders, but I mean, Deion Sanders is he's going to motivate him, and he's going to if Shedeur Sanders doesn't already have a chip on his shoulders, Deion Sanders is going to talk it on him. So I think ultimately he's going to be okay because I do think he is a talented enough player to where all he needs is the right situation to really sit back and learn and kind of, be a sponge and soak up all the information that he can to ultimately be the best quarterback he can be. I mean, y'all brought it up. If they let the Los Angeles Rams get him and he gets to learn from Matthew Stafford, he gets to learn from Sean McVay. If the LA Rams get him, that would be one of the ideal situations for him to come in and not feel pressure and not have to come in to be a savior, but just come in and be a rookie. Learn from Matthew Stafford, who's one of the most underrated quarterbacks of all time. And just seeing how that offense works and picking the brain of Sean McVay, who's one of, if not the best play caller in the league. So they're definitely I think from a standpoint of where would you want to go being a rookie, like if you're not in the first two rounds, where would you want to go as a rookie to put you in the best situation to really kind of understand what it means to A, be a quarterback, and B, learning really good offensive football? I think the LA Rams would be an ideal situation for him. So I'm glad y'all brought that up. But I do ultimately think Shedeur is going to be fine. I feel like he has the mental makeup to really come back from this and learn and make himself better through this. So I think he'll be okay too.
And not just the Rams, also the Dolphins too. You may have to look at another quarterback given Tua's durability problems. So if I'm Miami, I would definitely take that in consideration. Yes, Luis, I said it, okay? I know you're not the biggest Tua fan in the world, but I said it. But Champ, I think Shedeur will be fine. I think this will be a great thing I think a lot of mental. I think, and not only that, champ. No one. I don't think he's expected to start or play. Sit and learn as much as you can, and then eventually, when your number is called, then and only then you'll be fine.